And we're live.
Well, hello.
Alright, welcome to the Matchup Madness Grand Finals. This is Jay coming up from the loser's bracket versus Cmeshai from the winner's bracket. Jay was world champion 2 years ago. Cmeshai is the crown champion of the Taxi Meta's local tournaments, as I understand it. So
Oh, wow.
this should be a very exciting fight.
Yeah, the Taxi Meta's had a really strong turnout sort of in the
Alright,
bracket in
welcome to Matchup
general,
Madness
so this...
Grand Finals. Yep. Oh, I had my stream audio on. There we go. Looks like we have potential Luciya mirror. It'll be pretty funny if that comes out. Mirror matches are always interesting and exceed. So we have Geoffrey, or Geoffrey, you can say, versus, and Luciya and Renea versus Beheaded, Luciya, and Remiliss. Alright, looks like Jay has his first character selected.
Alright.
And Cmeshai has his. What do you think we'll see?
Well, didn't have time to answer that one, but Luciya was a pretty safe bet for me. I haven't seen much of Cmeshai play, so I did not know which one was coming out there, but I figured probably Jay was going out with Luciya.
Makes sense. I gather that Cmeshai's Renea has a very strong reputation, might be his strongest character. Hard to say. I actually don't think I've played against him but once or twice, and it's been a long time. So who can say? He might have grown a lot as a player since then as well. Alright, so Luciya versus Renea is round 1. I'm transitioning over to show TTS. Here we are. Jay sporting those Beheaded card backs.
Of course. One of the stronger card backs in the game, because it shows your opponent exactly what's going to happen to them.
Ishay coming out with the trash talk early. Says he thinks he can beat my Renea with Luciya like he did with Byron's. That was an earlier tournament match.
Well, we'll see. That does mean that Jay is coming into this matchup somewhat familiar, at least from a character point of view.
Yeah, I'm going to leave the overview on since you're using the in-game chat. Overlay, excuse me.
Makes sense.
Alright, Luciya and Renea. These are both very tricky, evasive characters who have incredible potential at high levels of play due to how technical they are. Any thoughts on the matchup?
So my thoughts with Luciya is that she can generate a lot of pressure, which may help a little bit. Renee, of course, loves boosting, right? As far as I'm aware. So generating that kind of pressure, forcing Renee to strike without the boost may be fairly helpful in avoiding, a decked out Renee, as it were.
Yeah, not decked out in the sense of running out of cards, but decked out in the sense of being geared up for battle.
Yeah, I guess geared up is more flavorful in this case. Yeah.
Yeah. So Renea is a traditionally a defensive set play character, and defensive set play is kind of a trademark of the Taxi Meta players, such as Cmeshai. They prefer to spend their turns doing something which makes it harder for their opponent to benefit from their own turn, which forces the opponent to answer it with some lower value play. So in this example, we had a +1 power, +1 speed boost, which gets teched. Putting that boost into play essentially requires it to be answered in some way, or for Luciya to play her own boost. But Luciya's boost kit is much shallower than Renea's. This is because, Luciya has one fantastic continuous boost, which is +3 speed, but it only lasts for one turn. And being denied the information of what Renea is putting into play, because it could also just be a dud, it could be fake out, which is on flare, which simply returns itself to hand, means that it's harder to know how to effectively answer those boosts.
And we see Luciya immediately closing that distance there. Generally, one of the things that you can do with Luciya at this point is you can you can pay force with an ultra to immediately cross sides and then gain that ultra to gauge, allowing you to do that almost indefinitely.
Yeah, it's a relatively low tempo move, but it costs essentially no resources and can provide marginal life benefits, which couldn't matter in the long run. It is surprising that we see Luciya jump in from range 4 to range 1, however. That's an interesting way to contest that boost without knowing what it is, since at range 4, Luciya actually has a ton of mix-ups to threaten. Alright, Luciya boost for speed, which also gets teched by Renea in turn. So Renea is contesting that speed. We don't know what that face down boost is, but it's a fairly easy decision. Tech that light. The drawback is that if Luciya isn't planning on using Firefly Gunner for the mix-up value, she can now boost Whirlwind a couple times this game. We have a parry coming out fairly early.
Looks like Straight Fire is getting locked out of there.
Straight Fire is an extremely safe attack with a very valuable transformation on it. So this is probably a show me your hands play, naming a card that exists just in case it hits so that you can get the most value out of it. At range 1, Straight Fire is not a threat unless the face down boost is Jujitsu, which would allow Renea to move before striking, or move before setting her attack during a strike, excuse me.
Correct.
So Renea needs to do something productive with her turn here. Looks like she's going to play another boost face down. Alright, we have Defend on Luciya's side.
I should trade with a lot of Renea's options, if I'm not mistaken, with the exception of Lethal Force. Renea tends to be a poke character in my although with 3 boost up, who knows? Or at least in my experience with Renea,
It's interesting. Without Double Down in play, she doesn't have the stacking power boost. However, she does have a ton of threat here. Like, she possibly can win the strike any way she wants to. Defend makes it harder for her to guarantee a clean stun, but if she's faster, she can win with Flare. And she has Lethal Force in hand, it ignores armor, and gives her a decent evasive option as well. Honestly, I'm not good at playing against Renea, so it's hard for me to know what exactly Renea is planning here.
I mean, Renea took me out of this tournament, so I would
like
be in a similar boat.
Yeah, so Luciya taking the corner and gaining a little bit of resources and dealing 1 damage. Okay.
All right.
Renea initiating, going to reveal all of these boosts. We have Conspiracy Inert, which is most valuable when initiating, so this makes sense. As well as +2 speed and a defend of her own.
Yeah, so whatever is coming out is very safe.
It's going to get rid of that Ride the Lightning, which is an extremely safe card in its own right. It does give Luciya some free gauge, which is interesting. Luciya not going to burn resources on this. She Wild Swings. A Focus. Interesting.
Oh.
Because of that retreat effect on it, because she has a continuous boost in play, she will evade the counterattack. Deals 5 damage ignoring armor, but does not stun. Luciya draws a card for her after effect.
Yeah. That's the sort of not what you wanted to see if you're Luciya coming into Lethal Force.
It puts Renea at range 3, which is not a bad range for Luciya, especially with Skies of Flame available. There's also only 1 known normal, which she could then boost and still have a wide range of options to threaten from her hand and deck.
Fair enough. Yeah, an unfocusable hand would be pretty useful.
It's also not the most valuable transformation on Renea's side. We'll see, though.
Sure.
It's certainly not a bad play. I'm getting incremental value on a consistent basis by playing defensively and setting up very, very safe attacks is, from what I've seen, fairly typical of this defensive playstyle that originated in Taxi Meta, or at least was emphasized there, is what I should say.
I mean, it's definitely different for anybody who's played against both, playing against a Taxi or a Discord player, I would say.
Yep.
And you called it right, the normal getting boosted there to avoid the potential reading.
Yeah, so now Preemptive is being threatened, but not executed on. Renea has a face time boost in play. Looks like she wants to have one in play pretty consistently just to increase the range of options that she can threaten, even if she's not actually able to enforce any of them.
Correct. And this would also mean that Fake Out now has an effective move plus or minus 1, which...
That is not true.
Oh, wait, am I wrong on that?
Right, she would have had... So the boost was resolved when interest play and all now effects have resolved. It has no now effects right now, so it has already resolved. Meaning, if she wanted to move on with it, she would have had to do it when she played it.
Gotcha, okay. I misunderstood that.
Yep, the transformation actually explicitly says to ignore that effect when you flip face down, boost face up.
Oh. There you go.
Alright, so we have a preemptive strike. That's +2 power, +2 speed. So a net +1/+1 over the tactical training that Renea has in play.
Yeah. And you see Cmeshai really focusing on this, which means...
So the standard defensive play here is cross. Or straight fire.
Right. Both of which would have the effect of us beating a lot of options, except for... Luciya's got that preemptive in play, which means a lot of her stuff would tie or beat outright that.
So assaults, firefly, gunner, both stuff straight fire. Assault stuffs cross in particular. Downburst is also available, but it's a fairly low value play. We have the straight fire. We have the assault. Alright, straight fire gets stuffed. Alright.
Yeah.
Renea takes
And
6
taking
and is
initiative.
stunned. Luciya optimizing that discard order. Since both boosts are discarded in the same timing, you choose which one is discarded first. This actually does matter because Luciya wants to be able to get her top of the discards into her gauge with her character ability. Alright, we have a
And
second
another
preemptive.
preemptive strike.
Yep,
Yeah.
so the telegraph here is very heavily Talon's weight. Do you think that we're going to see a mix-up play here?
I think... So the thing with that is, though, you don't necessarily... Like, it would be very difficult for... There are not a lot of answers to Talon sweeps that I can think of off the top of my head, at least +2
None.
speed.
There are none.
So I don't see the point in doing a mix-up here at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I tend to agree. Which means the correct play in Renea's side is probably to Wild Swing. Although I have seen another difference between Discard meta and Taxi meta, although this is not by any means limited to those two dominant playstyles, but throwing a low value card from hand instead of risking Wild Swinging a high value card. Alright, so let's see. We have...
Block is fairly safe.
no expenditure, yep, so that does a total of 1 or...
No, there's no expenditure, wouldn't it do nothing?
Well,
Well, no, it does the one because of the...
I think... Sorry, did Renea spin a force? I think she did. No, she didn't. Okay.
She did not. Yeah, so I did not
So
see
yeah,
that.
she takes 1. Yeah, 1 non-lethal chips off of 1 of the armor, and then 2 damage coming in. Renea did not choose to spin for extra armor, so she took 1 damage. Alright, it's now Renea's turn. She's initiating at range 4. This is surprising, though we've seen both kinds of flame drop, so she might just be feeling pretty good about throwing a dive or a flare. It is a dive, which will get stunned.
Wow. That's a pretty good wild swing there.
Yep. Seems reasonable. That does 1 damage and gains an ultra to gauge, which is very, very good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Alright, Luciya is got a significant lead in resources. It's definitely not definitely too soon to count Renea out, because once Renea exceeds, her power increases drastically. Alright, Renea chooses to prep.
And she is potentially 1 strike away. If she can land a transform, she can exceed immediately.
Yep, and at range 1, Paranormal Investigation is pretty reliable. It only loses to an EX Grasp or a Red Lightning. All right.
And it looks like Luciya was prepared for that.
Oh. Taxi meta intensifies.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, this is the most taxi thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, Renea moving to range 8. So here she has Called Shot, which only loses to Bug Zapper. She could try to bait the Bug Zapper by initiating strike with some sort of dud. Looks like she's going to sit back and boost.
Right.
I think we've seen both Called Shots drop, actually.
I believe... Let's see here.
Yeah, the first boost of the game was Tactical Training, and then she drops another one a moment ago.
Right, that was the first preemptive strike as well. You're correct.
Okay. So then, yeah, actually, Renea has no threats. Luciya has 1, but it's very expensive. While Luciya is in normal mode, Bug Zapper is far too expensive to play at long range, at least in my opinion, unless you absolutely have to. In Exceed mode, however, you get extra power for every force you spend, as long as you're spending Gauge on it. So it can be a lot more worthwhile to throw that way.
Right. And then also, yeah, obviously, if you're not exceeding... Well, okay, +2 power does make it somewhat more tempting, especially if Luciya is planning on exceeding soon.
It's also pressuring Renea into doing something at some point, because if Renea just sits back and lets Luciya build up, she can make things worse for herself. The question right now is who's getting more value out of each turn that passes. because in this position, the first person to make a move is going to spend more resources. They have to decide if it's worth it.
Right.
Renea could also attempt to bait the Bug Zapper with something like a sweep, which would throw the Bug Zapper away, but not get hit. However, I'm inclined to think that's not likely. Alright, we have a Conspiracy in Earths. Going to take a look at Luciya's hands being played face
See if
up.
they can get rid of, yeah, see if they can get rid of that Bug Zapper, probably.
Potentially the Bug Zapper, but also maybe the Firefly Gunner, the Cross, the Ride the Lightning. Like, I would actually argue those are higher value plays than the Bug Zapper.
Yeah, that's fair. Those are all good.
Yeah. The thing about Bug Zapper is you can throw out a sweep or a focus to prevent Luciya from coming in, unless she exceeds. That said, because of this hand reveal, Luciya is probably just going to exceed next turn. So
Yeah.
all this known information is likely to just go out the window.
Especially with that extra gauge, which...
Alright. Looks like Bug Zapper is going to gauge. Alright, so this is a difficult strategic decision. Do you exceed? Oh, sure.
Probably copying the hand. Oh.
Well, they have different card backs, so it's fine.
Yep, very easy to pick out.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually one of the biggest reasons I would advocate for people choosing to have unique card backs or normals.
That's fairly sensible, especially if you're playing against opponents who can steal cards, like Renea.
Mm-hmm.
Oh? This looks like a force expenditure.
Yeah. Movement, card change, maybe?
Probably ducking into range 4 to present that Firefly Gunner mix-up. Yep.
Yep.
Alright, deciding it is not yet time to exceed.
Interesting. So I'm not as familiar with these characters as I am with some of the other characters available. Is there a reason that Luciya would wait to exceed in this case?
If she wants to use those cards in her hand, essentially. Like,
fair,
when she exceeds, she adds her hand to her gauge and then reloads. But that means that she obviously is losing out on the value in hands.
Right, okay.
So, in particular, she has Ride the Lightning, which is both 2 force and an excellent boost, and a pretty good attack. Very safe attack, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And Firefly Gunner, which is an extremely high value attack, and a good boost as well. So, like, ditching those just for the reload might not be worth it.
Is it possible that she... Go ahead.
As I say, here she's presenting a pretty intense mix-up. Bug Zapper at speed 4 essentially is Dive Light, and then Firefly Gunner, which is speed 1, but does a ton of damage and can't be hit at range. That said, let's see. I believe Flare answers both. So nothing
And I don't believe we've seen a Flare yet.
Not that I recall.
So.
What were you saying?
I was just going to say, is it possible that we're seeing, in order to get the maximum value out of that exceed, we're seeing a chance where Luciya may spend a bunch of turns in a row striking in order to whittle that hand down and get the value out of those cards before flipping?
It's possible. It's just a different form of value, though. Having a low hand means you're drawing more cards effectively, but it also means you're not stocking that gauge. So Luciya doesn't really risk not getting value out of her exceed.
Fair enough.
Now, if she can get in the transformation, the value she gets out of it will increase significantly.
Confirming that it still has cross, projecting that there's potentially a reading option that
Yes.
Renea's about to make.
Although, it would really just be to waste the boosts and build some distance.
Yeah. I don't think anything she has hits from 5 even, which would be where you would need to hit from.
The only way to hit the cross right now would be for Renea to... So if Renea readings cross, the only way she hits is with EX Flare, which is a pretty heavy resource commitment. Would probably still be worth it. Hard to say. Depends what that face down boost is.
Right.
If that boost is 1 copy of Flare, then it's probably fine to throw an EX Flare here because you're not wasting any value on that boost. If that boost is something like Jujitsu, not worth wasting on a cross read. Because it's only 1 extra power on your payout. At least that's my opinion.
Yeah.
She could do something pretty interesting though. If she has a second straight fire, which I'm not sure if she has, I don't recall, or if she has a cross of her own, then she could reading cross and then use. Sorry, if that's Jujitsu and she has a cross for a straight fire, she can reading cross, Sinfulness to step forward, use Jujitsu to step forward, and set her own cross to win the speed tie. Renea becomes deceptively mobile when she has that transformation in play.
That's true. I didn't even think about that one. Yeah, because I guess you could. Yeah, I guess you would resolve reading right then.
You name a card, you set your attack. So, in this case, you would name a card, you would reveal your face down boosts. If that was Jujitsu, you would move 1 space. Then you would set your attack. Then you'd be able to spend a force to move 1 space. Because reading was resolved.
Or you prep getting rid of Grasp.
Yeah. Interesting. Renee telegraphing that she's comfortable answering the mix-up threat here. Or just ignoring it. Alright, we have Chain Trap. Well, okay. This means... Alright, so if Renee has reading, she needs reading right now in order to not get dunked by a Power 8 Firefly Gunner.
Yeah.
Since Firefly Gunner is now unanswerable. Chain Trap prevents Renea from moving. She can get rid of it with action, but that costs a precious turn as well as resources, and it adds the cards for Luciya's gauge, so Luciya doesn't even lose anything, really.
Right. Yeah, no, it'd be better just to make your opponent burn the resources. In that case, as you said, the reading. But that is, of course, assuming, and I am assuming, that the focus is in hand. Oh, well, that makes it easier. Looks like
Changing cards?
She is. Maybe.
I mean, she can't move, so I'm not sure what else she would be using that on.
I think she's paying the 2 force to get rid of Chain Trap.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Oh, both copies of Cross.
You don't see that every day.
Well,
I guess she believes she's going to be in the corner long enough that she isn't going to need the cross of her own. Alright.
Not really sure what her game plan is here, I guess.
This does suggest that she's holding at least 1 flare, or she wouldn't be as comfortable sitting here where Luciya's range 4 mix-ups are live.
Yeah.
Since right now Flare only loses Stride the Lightning, and I think we've seen both Red Lightnings drop. Yes, we have. They're actually both visible right now.
Yeah.
Alright, we have Whirlwind plus 3 speed. Goes to gauge at the end of Luciya's next turn. Doesn't mean that Firefly Gunner is out, which is good for Renea.
Yeah, because you could just... if you can figure out what your opponent's going to do as Renea, you're in a much better... Well, as any character, you're in a much better spot.
But particularly against Luciya, who's threatening mix-ups.
Right. Although... Well, no, the other Firefly Gunner I think is already down, correct? Yeah.
I think so. I could be mistaken.
because that would be the fun play, is to just draw one, throw the one that's pitched so that it looks like you've got it down, and then answer with it.
Mm-hmm. So Renea is not very safe right now. She's likely to eat a bunch of damage next turn unless she does something about that. Oh, a face-up boost.
Is she choosing to move? I suppose. For some reason I can think of that you would boost that one face up.
I mean, even then I don't think you will boost it face up. You boost it face down and you choose to move.
Oh, that's true.
Because it's still resolved when it's face down.
That's true.
Playing that face up seems to be trying to scare Luciya off of initiating. But it could also be a double bluff.
It looks like we're going to get initiate anyways, so...
Most likely. Alright, do we have a grandstanding?
We'll see in a minute. Checking the discard to see what this could possibly be.
Alright, looks like no expenditure for grandstanding, as far as we can tell. See me. Alright, so the telegraph here is probably dive. Maybe.
Yeah, I think both are live.
Yeah, I don't think there's any assaults left, but there might be.
Oh wait, no. Didn't Luciya attack both? Didn't Luciya use both as attack?
She definitely attacked once. She might have attacked twice. If so, my mistake. Okay. So right now Luciya is only up 1 speed. This is actually pretty dangerous, because I think EX Flare is still being threatened. And is, in general, the safest response to anything here.
Right. Renea holding half of her remaining cards, too, so if she doesn't have the other flare, that's pretty unlucky.
Pretty unlikely, I would say.
Although it looks like only one card is coming down, or at least only one card has been flipped in response so far. So deliberation is still being made, so...
We'll see. She could also be holding both copies and choosing to only use one. Due to some other sort of read. Like, she might call this a spike. I think there's still one spike live on the CS side. I don't really see why, though.
Oh.
Cmeshai deliberating. And Jay taking time to double check Renea's discards.
Sure. I mean, if your decision's already made, it's good to get that information.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, big capital O.
Seems to have figured something out.
Should be interesting to see what comes down.
They made a raid. They have one card. It is Flare.
It is Flare.
Cross. Interesting. Alright. That'll end that boost for.
Yep. And not a point of damage traded.
Mm-hmm. Puts them both at range 4. Which is still good for Luciya. One flare is gone. I think just one.
Correct.
Renea preps.
Or at least as far as I've tracked. Alright. It's an EX strike coming down.
Manta strike.
I say face up, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so focus is the canonical answer to Manta strike. They will trade. Deals 6 minus 2 equals 4, does not stun. Takes 3 in return. Yep.
Yep.
And gets the second copy of Manta Strike to gauge.
Points out, yeah. You always like to see that too, the pointing out the armor in the chat log there. Oh, and an EX from Renea.
Alright. Range of EX, so paranormal investigation. Huh?
You may. It does say may on there.
That's an error on my part.
It's okay. I forgot about it too, to be honest.
The damage is mandatory, but the gauge is optional. Alright, so we have the EX paranormal. Focus. Yes, a similar trade as before. Focus into an EX. Takes 1 less, deals 1 less. Or takes 2 less, deals 1 less.
Yep.
That is going to be
Does.
enough for Renea to exceed, however. And she's going to get some sweet normals back in hands. Yep, both copies of light.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially since focus appears to be offline, so...
Also, with light available and mimetism in play, which is the transformation on paranormal investigation, she can potentially have +2 speed for the rest of the game if she's willing to spend resources on it. This is notable.
Yep.
Luciya is ahead on life, but things are getting dicey. It looks like both characters are getting ready to flip.
Yeah. And, yeah. Meshai asking if that's what's going on, and Jay saying, not just yet.
Mm-hmm. Jay probably thinking about his own discard order, because, yeah, when Renea flips, she steals cards from discard, and yeah. So when she exceeds, she'll take the top 3 cards of the opponent's discard pile and add them to her briefcase. She can then play boost from her briefcase.
And then we see potentially some... Get rid of that one first.
Okay, so this will trigger the reshuffle.
Which is good timing when you expect the Renea to exceed. Looks like he did have the other Firefly Gunner, Talon Sweep, and a regular sweep.
Talon Sweep is quite good here. That sweep is a little bit risky. We know that a reading EX sweep in here. At least I'm pretty sure that Renea still has 1 reading available.
Yeah. But Talon Sweep's safe because both crosses and both grasp are down, so...
There's the reading. Alright, so we're going to see probably, yep, EX sweep. Oh, or she'll just spend a force and play a spike.
Yeah. Or a lethal force.
Yeah. Alright, so push 2 does not get to retreat because she doesn't have a continuous boost in play. Luciya misses. That's a reasonable amount of value.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, 5 damage getting rid of the opponent's sweep is always pretty good there.
Speaking of 5 damage getting rid of sweep, this will probably be 7 damage actually, because Renea probably isn't going to play EX sweep in response to the super telegraphed Firefly Gunner, which Jay isn't even bothering to disguise. Yeah, it's not worth it to get the armor there. So that is a 7 power, getting rid of one of those sweeps.
Yeah.
Puts a reading on discard, but that reading is not a continuous boost, so it's not super valuable for Renea. That's also a total of 2 boosts in her discard, which means Renea will not get maximum value if she flips right now.
Alright.
Why did that focus go to Gage?
Oh, the reading focus?
Yeah.
Wasn't from the switch sides. Oh, no, it wouldn't have been because it would not have resolved yet. Would it have?
But when did she switch sides?
Did she not switch sides with Gunner? Or not with Gunner?
Gunner doesn't move.
With the other one. Oh, no, she didn't. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Oh, it was the focus from earlier. Okay.
Alright. My mistake.
That's okay. Better to be vigilant in something like this, rather than have an asterisk by it.
Okay. Alright, so we had our initiating flare. Gets caught out by a responding red lightning.
Yeah.
Or, no, I'm sorry, that was a responding flare. To an initiating red lightning. Got it flipped. Alright, so Renea exceeds.
Gets the light wanted. Gets the whirlwind, which I think is, in some ways...
Whirlwind is fantastic.
Yeah. Especially with... where is it? Especially with mimetism in play.
Well, it's interesting there because if she tries to sustain it, it will end up going to her gauge by its own effect.
That's fair. Because oh yeah, because at the end of the next turn is not doing draw. Fair enough.
All right, it looks like it is Luciya's turn now. As the Renea player is confirming some of those card counts.
Renea now playing with basically open information, right? No cards left in deck.
Yeah. Yeah, so the Exceed here is the natural play for Luciya. Refreshes that hands. Gives her some resources. A good chance of drawing Skies of Flame, which is essentially what she needs to close this out.
Yeah.
Yep, plus 3 speed and another action.
Eventually she'll flip the card over too.
Oh, right. There you go. Alright, Renea changing cards.
I suppose at this point with these players, it was mostly cosmetic. I think they both were aware that Luciya was Thunderbird, but always good to have that information face up.
Alright, Thunderbird boosting to go to range 1, where that plus 3 speed is least likely to be important. Interesting. It's Renea's turn. Renea needs to win a few strikes decisively, but as the spook, she is able to do so. Especially because she can step back one space while playing a boost, including reading if she so chooses.
Yeah. Definitely is still 1 live, it looks like. So
she needs to take advantage of that plus 3 speed this turn. Well, she can also play her reading from Briefcase.
Oh, that's true too. Yeah, I forgot she could play Luciya's reading, even though it's not continuous.
Yep. So she needs to get value out of the plus 3 speed this turn, or it's going to go away and go to gauge, where it's much less important for her. Although it does turn on her ultras, which are good answers, but the probably not as good a threat as the plus 3 speed is.
Right. Looks like we're getting a boost instead.
Alright, so yeah, we have +1 power, +1 speed. That Whirlwind will go to gauge. Sinfulness in chat says she can sustain plus 3 speed. It will go to gauge at the end of her turn, though, so if she sustains it, it doesn't do much good. That is by its own effect.
Right.
Alright, so we have what appears to be a grandstanding EX. Yep. Alright, so the telegraph here is Grasp. Yep, which it is. Anticipation will answer that. Anticipation at 4 power deals 4 damage. 5 power because of grandstanding, so 1 armor, so 4 damage.
Yep. Nope, 4 was correct. Yeah, and Jay took the correct amount despite the 3.
Yep. They got
having reminded about grandstanding.
Alright. That said, that is 1 anticipation down, so that range 1 threat is no longer active. It looks like Spook did choose to sustain the +1 power, +1 speed. That makes sense. The Spook really needs those little stat edges in order to secure her late game. At this point, she... oh, she's still thinking about it. But yeah, at this point, she can potentially just be uncontestable for the rest of the game if she has the resources and the right stats in play.
Yeah, and I think just always being face down to God is good if you can afford it.
For those not familiar, Sagat in Exceed mode has a character ability which says that he can initiate his strikes face up for +1 power, +1 speed. So perpetually having +1 power, +1 speed is akin in this case to being face down Sagat. Looks like the Spook has decided to value those resources a little more highly though, so it does not sustain tactical training. That was Thunderbird's initiative. Oh yeah, that was the advance effect from Anticipation. Nearly forgot. Alright, we have a +2 speed. And +2 speed.
Yeah. That'll threaten a lot.
Mm-hmm. At the very least, this means Flare is completely uncontestable.
Yeah.
Teching.
Well, it's actually just a +2 speed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so teching Renea's copy.
Okay. You may want to check the card back. Well, I guess Renea's already used a reshuffle, so it doesn't particularly matter.
I believe that was the right copy anyway. Alright, we have that speed being replaced. Renea cares an awful lot about being fast right now, which makes sense. Gives her a greater chance of having uncontestable strikes. So this kind of cautious play is... that EX Grasp was actually uncharacteristically incautious. For the most part, what we've seen is a fairly cautious Luciya play, which is typical of high-level Luciya players, at least in my observations. The baseline Luciya play is flip it on Thunderbird, build a whole ton of power, and then blow the opponent up with one big attack. But I actually don't see that happen very much at high levels of play because it's too easy to mitigate those huge payouts with something like block. So Luciya tries to get a lot of value over a large number of strikes instead of throwing it all into one big payout.
Speaking of block, this is probably the other copy, correct?
Not guaranteed, because Lethal Force is an 8-speed ignore armor attack, and I do not recall us seeing one copy after reshuffle. One is transformed, so there's only one copy live.
Right, there's only one copy left.
Mm-hmm.
Here.
Let's see. Focus would actually answer Lethal Force. Oh, there are no foci left, though. Both copies are in Renea's briefcase.
Yep. Alright,
it was
flare.
Blocked. Yep. Baits out the unbeatable flare for 1 damage, which looks like Luciya declines to take. Yeah, it needs to get a boost
you
out
can't
of that
just get a boost.
There you go. Alright, after hit effects, Thunderbird spins a force in order to gain extra armor, taking no damage. Block goes to gauge, and Renea needs to decide, does choose to sustain one of those lights. Looks like Thunderbird's
Luciya's
copy.
light.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thunderbird at this point.
Same thing.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, because it's not Sydney and Serena. This is the same character.
Yep. Alright, well that was Thunderbird's initiative. Now to Spook's turn. Going out to range 3, where that +2 speed is... Oh, well, hold that thought. Probably counting those Firefly Gunners to decide if range 3 is really where she wants to be. Goes to range 2. She could also do the Renea Shuffle if she wants to go to range 5, but... oh, sorry, 4, excuse me. Math.
Yep.
Yeah, she does do the Renea Shuffle. She spends a force after resolving the boost to move 1 space. That was from the briefcase, so she gets another action, chooses to prepare. Alright, range 4 with +2 speed. Alright, so... Dive is the threat here? Yeah, Dive is the threat. At speed 6, it covers everything except for, I believe, Ride the Lightning. I think both Ride the Lightnings are gone now. Could be about that.
At least one is visible.
Mm-hmm. Alright, Thunderbird's turn. Both players checking those discards.
Sure. Digging for some more answers there.
Most likely. So at this point in the game, every turn is incredibly important, especially because of how Renea's character ability works. She doesn't have any more continuous boosts to stack. Oh, yeah, that went to the wrong discard pile. That could be a problem. Well, have to play it as well as you can. It won't end up in the right place in the discard pile, but it can't be helped at this point.
Right. Because the two players discarded at different rates, can't even count those.
Yeah, at this point, there's no real room for strategic errors. Every turn is critical. So spending a turn prepping feels very dangerous.
Yeah.
This is one of Renea's main strengths as the spook is action compression. She can do a lot of things at any given turn.
The other danger with prepping is Renea has both copies of Focus on deck, meaning that reading to close out the game is entirely possible.
Oh, we have a parry from hand, setting up reading.
Yep.
Calling Ride the Lightning.
Sure.
Which is not available. Oh, we have both copies of Skies of Flame, though. Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, that's a huge deal, because we have... Oh, my. Luciya might have checkmate here. No, it's not quite checkmate, because Renea could have cross still, right?
Which would be speed 8, true.
Yes.
We have not seen since the reshuffle.
Okay. So, here's the thing. Like, the threat here is preemptive EX Spike, which loses, I believe, to cross. Oh, wait, hold on. Does she have the movement one? Yeah, she does have movement. So yeah, so preemptive EX Spike, or preemptive Skies of Flame. Preemptive Skies of Flame loses to block. And I think only block. Preemptive EX Spike would be very face up, and it would lose only to, I think, cross. Or straight fire, actually. Alright, we have a preemptive. Almost certainly going to step forward just to present the mix-up, even if they're only setting one card. We'll find out, though.
Right.
And there's value in both plays. Obviously.
Oh, wait. Isn't block offline?
Is it?
Didn't...
There's a parry just now, but I don't recall if there's another one.
Didn't Renea block a boosted attack earlier? Oh, no, that was Luciya who blocked it. Never mind. Got them mixed up.
Totally fair.
Engaged.
There are cards flying around on both sides. Yep, there we have the moving in. Yep, this seems correct. And now the question is it going to be the face-up EX Spike, or is it going to be one card presenting a mix-up between Spike and Skies of Flame? One card.
It is the mix-up.
All right. So this is pretty interesting. Yeah, it's not EX. Force the hard decisions on your opponent.
Absolutely.
So because it's not EX, I believe Renea has no perfectly safe play here. She has to call it correctly. If she plays...
It is... Yeah, I mean, they're not in hand.
Yeah, the hand was visible just a moment ago, so it is not those things. So losing to Spike means you lose right now. No, you lose right now either way. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah.
All
Either
right.
cross or it's free.
Speed 8 into... Alright, they're dead. Wait, what? Oh, that's Strafe Fire, not Cross. Sorry.
Right.
I misread that. Alright, I thought they were saying they were playing Cross. So, we have a 2 damage Strafe Fire at speed 8. Covers this. Yeah. I don't see where the 3 comes from. No, there was no grandstanding there.
No. Yeah, there's no need to do grandstands either. No.
Mm-hmm.
Calling the spin for ult.
Mm-hmm. Okay, they did have the other Strafe Fire, or not the other Strafe Fire, but they did have Strafe Fire. So, that is a costly loss for Thunderbird.
Yeah. Deciding to transform it after all.
Yeah, they also need to decide if they're going to sustain that boost, which they almost certainly will. Plus 2 speed, sustain it definitely is extremely powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just sustained it. Alright, so that was Thunderbird's initiative. It is now Spook's turn. I think I just forgot about Strafe Fire in the calculations there. Strafe Fire was probably the obvious play either way. Yeah, because you would evade the... Yeah, you'd evade the spike, and you'd stun the red lightning. What did it lose to? Downburst.
Deciding to boost for power instead of calling out focus with that for any of the known.
Yeah, so evidently Spook just didn't have something that was strong enough in hand, or didn't like the follow-ups to reading Spike and Strike from hands. Stacking on the stats.
Yep.
I believe there are still 2 known spikes in hand, so that's pretty dangerous. Spinning a force to close in 1. There you go. Alright, she is threatening plus 5 power and plus 3 speed. So she can close the game decisively in just 1 strike here. Which means Thunderbird is probably just about forced to step back and strike, even if she doesn't have anything in hands. Although that would make her lose to dive. Okay, tech speed, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that gives her options again. Yeah, so Renea still has plus 5 power, meaning she can kill with a touch, just about. But at only plus 1 speed, she's not really guaranteed to go faster than Luciya. We have a parry. That is the second copy of block on Spook's side. Calls out Red Lightning.
Right, which I thought was known out, not at the... Oh, wait, no, there's the one.
No.
No, yeah.
The 2 ultras were known in hand. There. But yeah, so we have 336 Zapper Gunner. Which we already knew 3 of those, I think.
Most of that.
Yeah. Looks like Renea chose not to move after the parry, I believe.
Realizing that Red Lightning could not be threatened because of the lack of gauge.
Whoops. Plus 2 speed, that makes sense.
Mhm.
It's actually now very dangerous again. Um, Spook needs to challenge that in some way, or once again, EX Spike is just threatening to end the game immediately.
Right. I mean, worst case scenario is you could get rid of it by calling the cross, but then you put.
I think that is that. Yeah, if there's no way to contest the speed, then that's what you have to do. Um,
But it would not be favorable to have Luciya all the way out there.
right. Well, it wouldn't be good for either player. Um, it would buy time for the spook, and let's look at the deck sizes. Oh, never mind. Yeah, forcing Thunderbird to cross out puts her at severe risk of decking out, so that's probably the play.
Oh wow, I didn't realize that those. Yeah,
Yep.
I did not realize quite how much of the deck has gone for Luciya. Yeah, I think.
It shouldn't be difficult.
Yeah, no. Well, haven't seen the hand go over Lucia's deck there, so it may not be. Uh, I know a lot of players just do not think about decking out as an option.
True, but Cmeshai is from the taxi meta, where decking out is apparently a very common threat.
Oh, fair.
The question is whether they see the threat of the EX spike. They might also just be trying to. I don't know how they try to win the next strike, but maybe they see a way that I don't. I am not a Renea player.
Oh, there it is.